You join me for round 3 of the Gran Turismo 7 GTWS Manufacturers Series held at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. 18 laps with both medium and hard tyres to be used, along with fuel and tyres being ×2, so 2 times the normal rate of fuel usage and tyres. Started third on the grid after an invalidated lap, and chose to start on the hard tyres with the plan to go onto the mediums as early as possible. In front are Fusa, who was also streaming at the time on his channel I Am Fusa, and Zekip in the Ferrari, who were both quicker than me over 1 lap, and they're driving 2 different cars. Fusa's driving the Renault and Zekip, as mentioned, is driving the Ferrari. I chose the Lamborghini for this season after a good showing in the Expedition version earlier in the year. The other choice was to be Ferrari, but I chose the Lamborghini after the Bob update, as I was more comfortable with the Huracan than I was with the 458. So with the race now started, I had 2 objectives in mind. One was to make sure I survived lap 1 without mishap, and 2 to keep close to the leaders in order to gauge what tyres they've started on. 2 choices if you're starting at the front. You either start on the mediums and build a gap before you pit stop on the final lap, or you start on the hards and pit early to get clear and close the gap before the medium runners pit. I chose the latter as mentioned in the intro. Now we're just going to cut very quickly to the Fuso viewpoint going around the final corner at the end of the opening lap. If anything notable happens is on the bottom left. Fuso runs a tiny bit wide and cops a half-second time penalty. The penalty system does need to be revamped, so PD, if you are watching this, please look into it and please do change it. Now, as you notice that a lot of the guys pitted in at the end of the opening lap, indicating that they started on the hard tyre. So that's your Ugandan, your Ukraine and everybody else behind. Myself, Matthew, Yumi in the Aston Martin and Williams in the Porsche, we've all elected to stay out another lap. Mainly just to trying to keep the gap and try and minimise the time loss. Tyre warm-up is going to be crucial, and with Catalunya, a lot of the time, the left is going to be the danger tyres. Especially the left front, so it's imperative that you keep the temperature intact and try not to get it too hot. We'll be explaining that a little bit more. As we go into the chicane on the right hand side, you're seeing my viewpoint right now, and also now we're just seeing Fusa just ahead, who is just about to serve the penalty for that mishap. There we go, there's the penalty now served. Fusa, spoiler alert, is going to keep the lead ahead of Zekip. Now both of them have made up a bit of a gap at this point. I overshoot slightly going into the hairpin. I need to get rid of that hairpin and have a little bit more of a flowing left-hander like they do nowadays. We're now into the final section of the lap. Now I'm looking to see whether Fusa and Zekip are both going to pit. They have not pitted, so I've decided to pit now after doing 2 laps on the hard tyre in order to give myself a little bit of a slightly better medium tyre towards the end of the race. Now as you are pitting in, we can have a little bit of a small chat here. If you are enjoying the content so far and would like to know more about how I get things on in YouTube, say your Gran Turismo 7, Mario Kart 8, Deluxe or F099, please don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell and select all to get notified of all my YouTube doings. 30 seconds should be the pit stop. So we're now in the pits, 2 laps on hard, now on to the mediums for the rest of the race. The pit stop is mandatory, as you need to use both tyre compounds just like you would do in F1 when you have 3. So how's the rejoin? We've rejoined in 4th, and are we ahead of Ugandan? Yes we are. We've kept track position, we're now the leader of those who have started on the hard tyre, and now we can start to make some progress. But on this first lap out of the pits, I have to be cautious in order to make sure I keep the tyre life in check. We also noticed that the Ukrainian in the Toyota has copped up a half-second time penalty. That's more likely for running wide at a part of the circuit. We don't want to go off that part area. Just for context, the reason why you get penalties is you go all 4 wheels over the white line. Getting on the curb is fine, but if you go 4 wheels beyond that, then you're going to get a penalty. So anything that isn't red and white. Through the chicane now, going up towards the long back straight. Fun fact, when it was first built in 1991, this corner was not as tight. You would go off to the left and have a little fast right left chicane and then come back down the straight. Now going into the hairpin, a notoriously difficult part of the circuit. I've noticed that Ugandan, or GT7 as shown on the game there, has got a little bit closer. To me. So we need to maintain the gap. Don't forget, dirty air is a thing here in the series. It's a little bit more pronounced than the previous occasions. We've also noticed that Williams has pitted in the Porsche, going 3 laps long. I was saying to myself at the time that it was one too many laps. You really need to get in on the first lap. You can get away with it on the second lap, but the third lap you're going to push yourself down the field, as shown as they're rejoining now. They are going to rejoin in about 12th or 13th place, which isn't ideal for them. That means now I've got a clear track in front of me, but at this time I was around about 32 seconds behind, and I was 2 to 3 seconds behind when I first made my pit stop. So I know I have to make up at least 3 to 4 seconds over the next 15 laps in order to give myself a chance of the victory. So let's just get on started with this now. Starting to pull a little bit of a gap. If you notice, I'm being precise with my input, so every braking point needs to be spot on, every acceleration point needs to be spot on, every bit of steering angle and steering has to be spot on, because what I'm doing is keeping the tyres in check so I don't do anything untoward, anything overly aggressive. All my inputs have a purpose. So we're braking just before the 100 meter board at the hairpin. Keep it tight. As you notice, I'm letting it coast through the corner and then getting on the accelerator when I'm straight. This were a tyre life. Even there again, a little bit more coasting through the right hander. It's the left hand tyres, as mentioned, that will cause the biggest headache towards the end of the race. However, we fortunately don't have that chicane. I absolutely despise that chicane at the end of the lap. We're glad we're not using it now. My first proper lap on the medium tyre is a 4. That's quicker than Fusa. It's quicker and also in ZK. We fast forward a little bit more. We did set another purple lap on the very next lap, and then we get another 4 immediately on the 6th. So keeping it within a 10th. Now we're going down along the start and finish straight. We are braking just after the camera point. Get it down in the second gear. Keep it tight. Over the green curb, you get away with it. Well, you should get 2 wheels over. Coast it round turn 4. We go under the bridge. Watch out for the Rosberg-Hamilton collision from a few years back. Very infamous. I drop it down to second gear. Keep it tight. Get the accelerator up into third. Now we're looking for another braking point. We're looking at the hut. Brake as you just go past it. First gear. Coast it round. And then quickly the short shift into second, into third, 4, looking for a reference point. Marshal, just before you get to the Marshal's hut on the right. Extend the car, make sure you don't go 4 wheels over the curb. Braking at the orange barrier on the left. Keep it in third, into fourth. You can get towards the curb, but if you extend it, that's penalty. Into fifth. We're braking just before the 100 meter board, down the first 40 miles an hour. That's how you're meant to take it out. Third gear briefly, back down to first to help rotation. Into second gear. Let the car run wide. The green is fine for those tyres, but if you hit the gravel, it's going to compromise you through the final 2 right-handers. And it did compromise me a little bit there. I got a little bit too close to the curb. I hit the grass while I was doing it. But it's still a 3, and that turned out to be my fastest lap of the race. On lap 7, the gap at this point is around 31 seconds, so I need to find more time. We fast forward now a little bit further around the lap. It's not me we're paying attention on, as we're now pulling away from GT7 Uganda. On this lap though, if you look, Jay's going to go a little bit too wide here, touch the green, and that is going to be copping up a half-second time penalty, like so. Now, during the race, I wasn't aware of all this, as I was focusing purely on myself, keeping the tyres consistent and keeping everything in check. As we were saying, oh, I keep on repeating it like I'm a broken record, but there we go. That's just sometimes how things go. Keep it fourth around there. Sometimes I fluctuate between third and fourth. Third gear if I want to get the accelerator, fourth gear if I need the grip. We fast forward onto the ninth lap. I only did a 6 on that last lap. Jay is going to serve their time penalty and it will drop them back towards the Ukraine and the Toyota. Toyota is always very quick on the straight but can struggle sometimes in the cornering and getting out of it. The Hurricane, the top end's a little bit on the weaker side in comparison to the other cars in the bot, but its acceleration and getting out of corners makes it a good car. We fast forward to the end of lap 11 now, so we've just gone over half distance. Gap is around about 30 seconds at this point. Jay's going to have a problem again, as you just noticed there, took a little bit too much of the inside curve at turn 13 and they cop a 1 second penalty. You see, this is really where you have to be careful about track limits. You've got to keep it consistent, you've got to keep it within the track limits. Not a lot actually happened after that, so we move on now to the end of lap 17 where everybody else has to pit in. So Fusa and Zika both have to pit in at this point. As we head towards the end of the lap, they're heading into the pits right now as I'm entering the final sector. At this point the gap was around about 28-27 seconds, but I still had to push on. As you notice on the lap time screens on the very right hand side just under the circuit map, no laps in the one with the 42s. I have kept it consistently in the 41s. Now the front two dropped into the 42s on the last 3 to 4 laps of their stint. That just shows what smooth driving, precision does to the car. It keeps the car alive when you need it most. I almost spun off as well during that lap. Do you see on the right hand side, that's Fusa coming out and I've just got ahead of him. And I've just taken the lead going into the final lap. Now Fusa's on hard, Zeke's on hard. Ukraine's not too far behind them. It's not too far behind. We just saw, was that Jay? It looked like Jay right in the very background, and that's what happens with their penalties. They've struggled towards the end and they've dropped out of that group. So to carry on round this final part of the lap, what I'm here now is just to make sure I keep it tidy, keep it safe, don't extend the track unnecessarily, because the gap at this point is just over a second. The tyres are also starting to go a little bit. I felt them starting to go a lap 15 when I dropped into the 9s. I had 3 successive laps in the 9s. And I thought, yeah, need to keep the pace, keep it calm, make sure the tyres don't get hotter than you need to do. We're heading into the final sector now. Going through here. After my round 1 calamity at the Nürburgring where I got the weather and the tyre choice wrong, Interlagos got me a better result in the second split, and this was in the first split of round 3, so you're 6 o'clock in the UK time. And we're going to get across the line, and it was 362 points, and I took the points in the end. That brings us to the end of the race. If you have enjoyed, please hit the like button, subscribe, and until next time, cue that B-roll.